quit playing scientist. My sister Natalie sneered over Thanksgiving dinner, her Harvard MBA practically glowing like a halo above her perfectly styled head. Community college chemistry doesn't make you a researcher, Sophia. Mom shook her head with that familiar look of maternal disappointment, the one she'd perfected over the past 12 years. Honey, maybe you should look into a trade school. Something realistic. You're 35. It's time to stop playing with test tubes in that converted garage. I just smiled and cut my turkey, the same forced, patient smile I'd worn to every family gathering since choosing Riverside Community College over the Ivy Leagues that had accepted me. Then my phone buzzed. I glanced at the caller ID, Dr. Marcus Chun, Dean of Harvard Medical School. My heart stopped, but I kept my expression neutral as I answered. Dr. Williams. His voice trembled with barely contained excitement, loud enough that everyone could hear in the sudden silence. Your research just transformed the future of cancer treatment. The FDA fast-tracked approval. We're talking about saving millions of lives. Millions. The room fell silent. Every fork on the table hit the plate at once. I'm sorry, I said calmly into the phone, though my hands were shaking. Could you repeat that for my family? I think they need to hear this. I placed the phone on speaker and set it in the center of Mom's heirloom tablecloth, right between the cranberry sauce and Natalie's untouched glass of wine that she'd been too busy mocking me to drink. Is this Dr. Sophia Williams? Dr. Chun asked formally. Yes. Dr. Williams, I'm calling to inform you that your synthetic protein compound, SW47, has just received emergency FDA approval for treatment of stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The trial results are unprecedented, 93% remission rate in terminal patients. My mother's wine glass shattered on the floor. Furthermore, Dr. Chun continued, unaware of the chaos he was creating in our dining room, the pharmaceutical consortium has agreed to your licensing terms. The initial payment of $3.2 billion will be transferred to your research foundation on Monday. Billion? My brother-in-law, Richard, choked on his turkey. Did he say billion? Dr. Williams, are you still there? Dr. Chun asked. Yes, I'm here. With my family, actually. The ones who've been so supportive of my hobby all these years. If Dr. Chun caught the sarcasm, he didn't acknowledge it. Excellent. Please extend my congratulations to them. Their daughter, their sister, has just become the most important cancer researcher of the 21st century. The Nobel Committee has already been in touch. Nobel Committee? Natalie's voice came out as a squeak. Oh, hello, Dr. Chun said warmly. Yes, Dr. Williams's work on protein synthesis and cellular regeneration has revolutionized our understanding of cancer treatment. She'll likely receive the Nobel Prize in Medicine within the year. Frankly, it's overdue. She should have received it 3 years ago for her work on synthetic antibodies. 3 years ago? Mom whispered. But 3 years ago she was publishing groundbreaking research while teaching night classes at Riverside Community College to fund her laboratory. I finished. Yes, I was. Dr. Williams, Chun continued. The press conference is scheduled for Monday at Harvard. You'll be announcing the treatment publicly. Also, the president would like to meet with you Tuesday about the National Cancer Initiative. Will that work for your schedule? The president, Dad repeated faintly, of the United States. Is there another one? I asked dryly. Yes, Dr. Chun, that works. I'll see you Monday. Excellent. Oh, and Dr. Williams? MIT called. They're preparing your honorary doctorate for the ceremony next month. Congratulations again. The call ended, leaving behind a silence so complete I could hear the neighbor's dog barking 3 houses away. This is a prank, Natalie said finally, her voice desperate. It has to be. Sophia doesn't have a PhD. She went to community college. She works in a garage. I pulled up my phone, navigating to the FDA website. There it was, the top announcement. FDA grants emergency approval for SW47, revolutionary cancer treatment developed by Dr. Sophia Williams. I turned the phone toward them. Would you like to see my PhD diplomas? I have 3. Biochemistry from Caltech, molecular biology from Johns Hopkins, and organic chemistry from Princeton. All completed through their distance programs while you thought I was wasting my life at community college. That's impossible, my brother Michael said, his own engineering degree from a state school suddenly seeming less impressive. We would have known. Mom would have known. Would you? I asked. When was the last time any of you asked about my work without immediately following it with condescension? When I tried to explain my protein synthesis breakthrough at Christmas 5 years ago, Natalie literally said, "That's nice, dear, but let's talk about something real." "I thought you were making it up," Natalie defended weakly. "Because a community college graduate couldn't possibly understand advanced biochemistry?" I stood up, 12 years of suppressed frustration finally boiling over. "Do you know why I chose Riverside Community College?" They stared at me blankly. "Because they gave me something Harvard and Yale and Princeton couldn't: complete autonomy." Professor Martinez, the chemistry department head, recognized what I was working on. He gave me access to their lab, no questions asked, no bureaucracy, no senior professors stealing credit. For the price of teaching 2-night classes a week, I had complete freedom to pursue my research. "But you lived at home until you were 30, Mom protested. "You drove that awful old Honda." "Because every penny I had went into my research." "Do you know how much laboratory equipment costs?" "That awful old Honda saved me gas money that bought centrifuges and spectrometers. Living at home meant I could afford to synthesize proteins that cost $10,000 per gram." I pulled out my tablet, showing them a photo. "See this lab? The one you all called my garage playhouse? It's now valued at $40 million. The equipment in there is more advanced than what most universities have. NASA consults with me on protein synthesis for space missions. The Defense Department funds my research into synthetic blood for battlefield medicine." "NASA." Dad's voice was weak. "The Defense Department? Who did you think was paying for the garage renovation? You all mocked me for wasting money on a hobby space. But that renovation was funded by a DARPA grant for $2 million. Richard, the investment banker who loved to explain economics to me at every family gathering, asked, "The licensing deal. $3.2 billion. That's your personal money." "The Sophia Williams Research Foundation's money," I corrected. "Though I retain a significant percentage. Enough that I'll never have to teach night classes again, though I probably will anyway. My community college students deserve better than the condescension you've all shown them." "This can't be real," Natalie kept repeating. "You're my little sister. You bag groceries part-time at Whole Foods." I consulted for Whole Foods on their bioengineered produce line. "They paid me more for 3 months of consultation than you make in a year at your consulting firm." I pulled up another document on my tablet. "Would you like to see the contract? Or the one from Google for their longevity project? Or Amazon's offer to buy my synthetic organ research?" "Synthetic organs?" Michael asked faintly. "My next project. Growing fully functional human organs from synthetic proteins. The kidney trials start next year. No more waiting lists for transplants, no more rejection risks. The military is particularly interested. Imagine being able to grow replacement organs in field hospitals." Mom stood up abruptly, her face flushed. "Why didn't you tell us? Why let us think you were a failure?" "I tried to tell you. For years I tried. But every time I mentioned my research, you'd pat my head and change the subject to Natalie's promotions or Michael's engineering projects. When I published my first paper in Nature, you said, 'That's nice, dear, but when are you getting a real job?' When the MacArthur Foundation awarded me the Genius Grant, you were too busy celebrating Natalie's junior partnership to notice." "The MacArthur Genius Grant?" Natalie's face had gone from red to white. That's $500,000. 600,000, actually. It funded my cancer research. The same research you called playing with chemistry sets last Easter." My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from my research partner, Dr. James Park. CNN, BBC, and The Times all want exclusive interviews. Also, Pfizer just offered $5 billion for exclusive rights. Should I keep fielding offers? I typed back, "Let them bid. We're not accepting less than $10 billion. This treatment needs to reach everyone, not just Pfizer's preferred markets." $10 billion, Richard read over my shoulder. "You're turning down $5 billion? The treatment is worth more. More importantly, the licensing structure matters. I want it available in developing countries at cost. Pfizer won't agree to that, but others might." "You're giving up billions for poor countries?" Natalie asked, as if the concept was alien. "I'm ensuring that a child in Bangladesh has the same chance to survive cancer as a child in Boston." "But then you never understood that success isn't just about money, did you, Natalie?" My phone rang again. This time the caller ID made everyone gasp. The White House. "Dr. Williams? This is President Morrison's chief of staff. The president would like to congratulate you personally. Are you available for a brief call?" "Of course," I said, trying to keep my voice steady despite the surreal situation. Sophia? The president's voice filled the dining room. I wanted to personally thank you. My mother died of pancreatic cancer 15 years ago. Your treatment could have saved her. You're going to save millions of mothers, fathers, children. I can't thank you enough. Thank you, Mr. President. It's been a long journey. I understand you've been working on this for over a decade, mostly self-funded? Yes, sir. Community college teaching salary doesn't go far, but it was enough. Well, your days of scraping by are over. We're recommending you for the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Also, I'd like you to consider heading our new National Cancer Research Initiative. The position comes with a cabinet-level appointment. Natalie actually fell back into her chair. I'm honored, Mr. President. Can we discuss it Tuesday? Absolutely. And Dr. Williams? I heard you turned down positions at Harvard and Johns Hopkins to stay at Riverside Community College. That kind of loyalty is rare. They gave me a chance when no one else would. I owe them everything. We need more people like you, Dr. Williams. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. The call ended, leaving my family staring at me like I'd grown a second head. The silence stretched on for so long that Mom's turkey was getting cold. Finally, my father, who'd been uncharacteristically quiet, spoke up. The community college, he said slowly. You stayed there on purpose. Yes. Even though Harvard wanted you? Harvard wanted me after I succeeded. Riverside believed in me when I was nobody, a 23-year-old with wild theories about protein synthesis that everyone else called impossible. I sat back down, suddenly exhausted from years of hiding in plain sight. Professor Martinez risked his reputation defending my research to the board. The janitor, Mr. Torres, kept the building open late so I could run experiments. The cafeteria lady, Rosa, brought me dinner when I forgot to eat. They were my family when my real family was too embarrassed to acknowledge me. We weren't embarrassed, Mom protested weakly. Really? Then why did you tell your book club I was between opportunities for 12 years? Why did Natalie introduce me at her wedding as my sister who's still finding herself? Why did Michael tell his kids I was an example of why they should study hard, so they wouldn't end up like Aunt Sophia? Michael's face turned crimson. The kids. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. And they believed it. Last month, your daughter Emma told me she was scared of becoming a failure like me. She's 8 years old, and she's already been taught that I'm the family cautionary tale. But you're not, Michael's wife Jennifer spoke for the first time. You're going to win a Nobel Prize. Probably, I agreed. Though that's less important than the lives the treatment will save. Do you know what the survival rate for stage 4 pancreatic cancer was before SW47? 3%. 3. Now it's 93%. That's not just statistics. That's thousands of people who'll see their children graduate, meet their grandchildren, grow old with their spouses. How? Natalie asked, her business brain finally engaging. How did you develop something that pharmaceutical companies with billions in resources couldn't? Because they were looking in the wrong place. They kept trying to kill cancer cells. I figured out how to reprogram them. Make them remember how to die naturally like normal cells do. It took me 8 years of working with synthetic proteins to crack the code. 8 years, Mom repeated. 8 years of us mocking you. 9, actually. The first year, you were still hopeful I'd come to my senses and get a real degree. My phone buzzed with another message. This time from my banker. Confirmed. Initial payment of 3.2B will be processed Monday. Also, Japanese consortium offering 4B for Asian rights. Please advise. You need to get a financial advisor, Richard said automatically, then caught himself. I mean, if you want advice. Richard, I've been managing research grants for a decade. I think I can handle money. Besides, I already have a team at Goldman Sachs. They've been managing my patent portfolios since 2018. Goldman Sachs has been managing your money since 2018? Natalie's voice pitched higher. But you borrowed $20 for gas last month. I didn't have cash, and the gas station's card reader was broken. You made such a big deal about lending it to me. I didn't bother explaining that I had several million in my checking account. Several million. In your checking account. Dad sat down heavily. My daughter has millions in her checking account, and I tried to give her a Dave Ramsey book last Christmas. I kept that book, by the way. It's holding up one corner of my mass spectrometer. Very useful. Despite everything, that got a small laugh from Michael. The garage lab, Mom said suddenly. Can we see it? The real thing, not just photos. I considered this. For 12 years, That lab had been my sanctuary, the one place where I wasn't the family disappointment. Sure, but you need to understand something first. That garage you all mocked? It's published more peer-reviewed papers than most university departments. It's developed 14 patents that are currently saving lives. It's not a hobby room. It's a research facility that happens to be attached to my house. We walked outside, across the lawn I'd mowed that morning before Mom could make another comment about how I had too much free time. I unlocked the garage with my thumbprint and retinal scan. Security measures they'd never noticed because they'd never actually visited my workspace. The doors opened to reveal not a garage, but a state-of-the-art laboratory. White walls, pristine equipment, computers displaying molecular models, refrigeration units humming with thousands of samples. Holy shit, Michael breathed, then caught himself. Sorry, but this is incredible. That, I pointed to a massive machine in the corner, is a next-generation gene sequencer. There are only 6 in the world. That, I indicated another section, is my protein synthesis station. It can create proteins that don't exist in nature. And that, I gestured to a sealed chamber, is where I grow synthetic tissue for testing. No animal trials needed. This must have cost. Richard trailed off, trying to calculate. $42 million in equipment alone. Plus renovation, climate control, sterile environment maintenance. Call it $50 million total investment over 12 years. $50 million, Mom said faintly. Where did you get $50 million? Grants, mostly. The National Science Foundation, the Gates Foundation, DARPA, private investors who believed in the work. Every penny went into the research. That's why I drove the Honda, wore the same clothes, ate ramen. Every dollar saved was a dollar toward curing cancer. Natalie was standing in front of my achievement wall, something she'd never noticed in the few times she'd glanced into the garage. These are all yours? All these publications. 147 peer-reviewed papers. 62 patents. 14 international awards. But you know what I'm most proud of? I pulled out a battered notebook from a desk drawer. These are letters from patients in my clinical trials. People who should be dead but aren't because of SW47. I opened it to a random page. This is from Maria, a single mother of 3 from Texas. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer, given 2 months to live. That was 18 months ago. She sent me a photo from her daughter's quinceanera last week. Another page. David, a teacher from Ohio. His students made me a thank you video. Would you like to see it? Mom was crying now, not the delicate tears she produced at funerals, but raw, ugly sobs. We could have been part of this. We could have supported you, celebrated with you. Instead, we made you a joke. You did, I agreed simply. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is that you made community college a joke. You made my students, brilliant, hardworking people who couldn't afford Harvard, into punchlines. Do you know how many of my night students went on to become doctors, researchers, engineers? But to you, they were just community college kids, not worth acknowledging. I was wrong, Natalie said quietly. We were all wrong. Yes, you were. But here's what you don't understand. It didn't matter. Your mockery, your disappointment, your condescension. None of it stopped me. It hurt, yes. There were nights I cried myself to sleep wondering why my own family couldn't see me. But every morning, I got up and went back to work because this, I gestured to the lab, was bigger than my hurt feelings. My phone rang again. Dr. Park's name appeared on the screen. James, I answered. You're on speaker with my family. Sophia, sorry to interrupt your Thanksgiving, but this can't wait. The test results from the pediatric trials just came in. SW47 is even more effective in children, 98% remission rate. We're going to save thousands of kids. I closed my eyes, overwhelmed. 98%? 98%. Also, the side effects are minimal. Nothing worse than mild fatigue. Sophia, we did it. We actually did it. Thanks, James. We'll review the data Monday. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, Dr. Williams. You've earned it. I hung up and found my entire family staring at me with expressions I'd never seen before. Respect mixed with shame. Children, Mom whispered. You're saving children. That was always the goal. Pediatric cancers are particularly aggressive. Traditional chemo destroys their bodies, even when it works. SW47 targets only cancer cells, leaving healthy tissue alone. Kids can keep going to school, playing sports, being kids while getting treatment. All this time, Dad said slowly, you were changing the world in our garage, and we thought you were wasting your life. You know what the irony is? I asked, looking at each of them. If you'd been supportive, if you'd believed in me from the start, I might have taken that Harvard position. I might have gotten comfortable, played it safe, followed traditional research paths. Your doubt pushed me to prove you wrong, and that drive led to SW47. So in a twisted way, I should thank you. Don't, Natalie said firmly. Don't thank us for being awful. We don't deserve that grace. Maybe not, I agreed. But you're getting it anyway. Because unlike you, I don't believe in writing people off as failures. That landed hard as intended. Can we start over? Mom asked, her voice small. Can we be the family you deserved from the beginning? I don't know, I answered honestly. Trust takes time to rebuild. You've spent 12 years seeing me as less than, treating me as a punchline. That doesn't disappear just because I'm suddenly successful in a way you understand. Then what do we do? Michael asked. You start by apologizing to every community college student you've ever looked down on. You start by recognizing that success doesn't always wear a Harvard sweatshirt or drive a Tesla. You start by asking about my work, really asking, not waiting for your turn to talk about your own achievements. And then maybe eventually we can be a family that celebrates each other instead of competing. But that's going to take time and effort and genuine change. Not just because I'm successful now, but because you finally understand that I always was. You just couldn't see it. My phone buzzed with a CNN alert. Breaking. FDA approves revolutionary cancer treatment. Developer Dr. Sophia Williams credited with biggest medical breakthrough in decades. Within seconds, all their phones started buzzing too. The news was out. Your social media is about to explode, I told Natalie. Everyone knows you're my sister. They'll want to know why you never mentioned me before. She looked sick. What do I say? The truth. That you didn't know because you never asked. That you assumed failure because I chose a different path. That community college to you meant less than, when to me it meant everything. That's humiliating. Yes, I agreed. It is. Welcome to how I've felt for 12 years. We walked back to the house in silence, the November air crisp and cold. Inside, the Thanksgiving dinner sat abandoned, food cooling on plates, Mom's perfect table setting disrupted by the earthquake of truth that had shaken our family foundation. The announcement Monday, Mom said finally. Can we come? I thought about it. Part of me wanted to say no, to have my moment of triumph without the people who'd tried to diminish me. But another part, the part that had kept coming to these dinners despite everything, understood that redemption required opportunity. Yes, I said finally. You can come, but you stand in the back. This moment belongs to my community college colleagues, my students, the people who believed in me. You can watch, but you don't get to share the stage you never helped me build. That's fair, Dad said quietly. More than fair, Natalie added. As we sat back down to our cold Thanksgiving dinner, Emma, Michael's 8-year-old daughter, tugged on my sleeve. Aunt Sophia? I'm sorry I said I didn't want to be like you. I pulled her into a hug. It's okay, sweetheart. You were listening to the adults. But can I tell you a secret? She nodded eagerly. Being like me isn't about the Nobel Prize or the billions of dollars or curing cancer. It's about believing in yourself when no one else does. It's about working hard even when people say you're wasting your time. It's about knowing that where you go to school doesn't define who you are. Can you remember that? Yes, she said solemnly. Aunt Sophia, will you teach me science? I would love that. As Emma ran back to her seat, chattering excitedly about learning science from her famous aunt, I caught Natalie watching me. You're good with her, she said softly. Better than I am. I actually listened to her. You might try it sometime. The rest of dinner was quiet, awkward, filled with the weight of 12 years of mistakes. But it was also different. For the first time, they asked real questions about my work. They listened to the answers. They didn't interrupt or redirect to their own accomplishments. It was a start. As I drove home in my old Honda, which I'd probably keep just for the memories, my phone showed 847 missed calls, 2,000 emails, and hundreds of text messages. The world wanted to meet the woman who'd cured cancer. Tomorrow they would. Tomorrow, I'd stand at a podium at Harvard and announce that a community college teacher had done what billion-dollar pharmaceutical companies couldn't. I'd tell them about Professor Martinez, who'd believed in a young woman with wild ideas. About Rosa, who'd kept me fed. About Mr. Torres, who'd kept the lights on. But tonight, I sat in my garage laboratory, surrounded by the equipment that had been my family for 12 years, and I opened my notebook to write one more letter. This one to Maria, David, and all the others who'd survived because I'd refused to give up. Dear friends, I wrote, today my treatment was approved. Today we won. Today cancer lost. And tomorrow we save the world. With love and gratitude, Dr. Sophia Williams, proud graduate of Riverside Community College. Outside, the November stars were bright and clear, and somewhere in the darkness, children who would have died were going to live. That was worth more than all the apologies in the world.